and I left my glasses in my book bag. So let's get into it. You know, since I was little, I mean, little, life happened to me pretty quick. As a little guy, I was very fortunate. My dad had a really good job. My mom worked, and we had all the things that kids wanted. We traveled, we did all these things, and when I was about 10, my parents separated for the second time, and my dad eventually, over the years, moved to Puerto Rico, and life started to hit as a kid. I wanted to do things that cost money, and we didn't have a lot of money. My mom did really well to make sure that we had all the things that we needed and then some. We got to go on trips every once in a while, and my mom made sure to utilize her job. Back then, they used to give a lot of vendor tickets, so we get to go to baseball games and things like that. So we were very fortunate for that. But I used to always say money would solve the problems that I had. And even though I still do believe that money can solve a lot of problems that you have, I think it's important that we understand that if somebody always just gives you the money, the lessons that you learn from not having money and the way your brain learns to maneuver around obstacles would never be there. The way you are compelled to save money or not spend on this because you want this, those things don't come when you get everything that you want in terms of money. And that can relate into a lot of things. If you always get what you want, you're going to have a tough life. And I mean that sincerely, because you learn so many things when you don't have what you want, what you need, and your body and your mind, your spirit responds to that. And there's a lot of hard things that you go through along the way, but that's when you learn the best lessons. The reason this conversation comes up is because I have many times helped an individual, whether that's my family, a friend, or just a stranger, with money because they were in a really tough situation. Really tough situation, and it was easy for me to give the money. But what I really like to do more than give the money is give guidance and help people think about how they can solve their problem. And I have realized in life that giving people the money, it only makes me feel good. It gives them a short release from whatever stress that is. And again, I'm happy to do it, and I think that's great. But where the real lessons come in are walking somebody through the scenario, giving them guidance on how they may be able to solve it, how they may need to change their life and the habits that they have, or the actions that they take, or the pursuits that they pursue, so that they don't have this problem again. Hi, everyone. Thanks for jumping on. And so I think it's important to note that, I have always never had enough money, and then my mentality was like, I need more because I got to do this and I got to do this. And, the money could help. But all the times I didn't have the money, I had to figure out who to go to learn something so that I could get the money, or who to ask so that I could get a job that would pay me the money. What skills I needed to learn so that I could make more money, which ultimately led me into skills, to sales, and then so much far beyond that. Some people just go get the job to get the job. I committed to it 100%, probably detrimentally so. And I think what you realize is that going through those hard things and not having that money and learning how to ask people and get into rooms that you may not otherwise be invited to, because you're just that curious and you're just that hungry to figure out how to solve that problem. And the problem is not necessarily money. It's the life you want to live that you think money will give you. And to me, over time, that realization came to have a clear understanding that it's the freedom to choose, the freedom to go do a thing that you want to do and not have to go into work and, or pursue a passion project within your work environment that everyone around you says no to, even though you know it's absolutely incredibly profound to you and everyone involved, the value that it will bring if you pursue this thing. And so for many years, I fought that continuous battle of the bosses and the managers and the people who overlooked very powerful things that would benefit us all greatly. And what I started to realize and have realized now at this point is that I was surrounded by a bunch of people who were leaders that gave a sacrifice, which that's time, energy, money, whatever that is, to get in those positions. It doesn't necessarily mean that those people in those positions, one, think like I do, two, have the same ambitions that I do, three, have the wherewithal that I do, and four, care about people the way that I do. And so there's a lot of things that like hold a person like me who is ambitious and sees optimism and opportunity in so many things. And I always want to grow things. I always want to make them better. And it gets frustrating when you want to make these things better, and these leaders, these managers who don't care to make things better, they just come to work. Who don't care to make people better, they just come to work. Who don't care to make their lives better, they just come to work. And when you're surrounded by that, which in my case has been a lot in a lot of the industries that I've been in, and mainly automotive, for one, just very limited mindsets in my opinion. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. It's just I'm hungry and I want to continue to grow. I didn't have a lot as a kid in the ways of monies. I had a great life as a kid, but those left some scars on me that I couldn't afford to take the trips to Washington D.C. I couldn't afford to go on the spring vacations that everybody went on, and so it was always money. It always came to money, and so people will always come to me and ask for money. And what I realize in the things that they're saying, and if I start to ask them about their lives and what's going on in their life, they will tell me all these things that bring me to the conclusion that the way they're living their life is leading them to the problems that they have. And if they do not make changes to that life and their actions and the way that they think about things, that they're always going to be asking for money. And, in short, people will call me with an hourly job and say, man, I need more money. I need more money. It's like, well, yeah, you can only work so many hours in your life, and you only have so much energy to work the available hours to work. So if you are having money problems in an hourly job, you probably need to get into a different field, because it's always going to be that way. I mean, if you're behind, unless somebody gives you a chunk of money, there's no way you can work your way up to there is, but it's very unlikely unless you get a whole bunch of money. If you're in the negative, you're always going to be in the negative because you only have so many hours. It's just simple math. So change your skill set, change your industry, ask for a promotion, earn a promotion, learn how you can get promoted. Those things are a different way of thinking for, people who want to get results, not people who just want to ask for things. And so the reason I came up and wanted to talk about this video is because giving somebody a thing, giving them the money, is not always the answer. Sometimes it's just about talking through their situation and encouraging them and empowering them to make the change they know they need to make, if they actually want to see a difference in the way that their life is going, whether that's money, whether that's happiness, whether that's time, energy, whatever it is that they want to get back, that they're not getting their current situation, the way they act, um, the way they behave, the way they think is why they're getting what they're getting. And it took me very many years to realize that, money was not the answer. It was my behaviors and my actions that I still work on today that have gotten me everywhere that I am now and got me everywhere that I was, and allowed me to understand things in such a profoundly better way, in my opinion, that now allows me to do a lot of the things that I do, and maintain those things and grow those things because I didn't have the money or somebody didn't give me the thing. And that will lead to people giving you money, like raising equity. It will lead to people investing in you to start businesses and things of that nature because you have the skill set to do it, not because you need the money. All right, guys. Well, that was a little long-winded for today. Hopefully you got some value on that, and appreciate you all. Stay lavish.